Guys, you're listening to The Real Deal with Kim Hollingshead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have just a few minutes left, and we're going to go over, how is it that owning real estate actually helps you to pass on wealth to your kids? And for us, wealth exists in one place that is reachable, that is attainable, and that is real estate. Yes, the stock market is wonderful, but not everybody has the extra money to invest in the stock market every day, every single month. But we are paying rent every month. You're going to pay for a place to live, and you might as well pay yourself to have that place to live. It is an achievable way to grow your family's net worth. And as we talked about, it makes a huge difference. So real estate is the American wealth building machine. And that is the reason why private property rights must be protected, because this is how Americans pass wealth on to their kids. I hear it every week. That's great. I want to buy, but I can't afford a house in this market. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you guys. Prices in Davidson and Williamson County, they are high. And rates, they are challenging, okay? But here's the thing. This is what I see at the closing table. A lot of people assume that they need 20% down. Not the case. FHA is 3.5. Conventional goes to 3. There are state down payment assistance programs like THDA loans that will actually help you cover your down payment. I have actually seen, experienced, and done it myself, been able to buy a house for less than what it would cost to rent a new place. I can sit down and show you the numbers, but it is absolutely a real thing. I recommend that everybody out there bite the bullet. Ooh, it hurts with these high interest rates. Hey, it's nothing like what we saw in the 1980s when people were paying an 18% interest rate. And no, houses were not so inexpensive at that time that did not hurt families. That hurt families a lot to be paying an 18% interest rate on houses back then. Just believe it. Also on the show, I just want to make it super clear, because I want to make it known that I'm never going to tell you to buy something that you cannot afford. You can't, because that's how people get hurt. And I've watched it before, where people are like, oh no, I can't afford it. I really can't afford it. And then we sit down, we go through the numbers, and people can actually afford to buy a house. So guys, don't give up. Always say it. I am not a loan officer. I am not a realtor, but I work with some of the most trusted professionals in this area. And I can tell you that before you say no to homeownership, give yourself a chance and just pick up the phone and give us a call, 615-257-0565. We're going to be able to connect you with somebody who can at least run some numbers for you and tell you whether or not it's feasible. Because I am a lawyer and I'll be doing you a disservice if I skip this. In Tennessee, transfer on death of deeds for real property, they're not authorized. I keep getting asked this question from people. If you're counting on like some form that you found online, or if you're talking to someone who's in another state and you think that you're going to be able to just like convey the house to your kids when you die and keep it all out of probate. I mean, it's not really how it works here in this state. What you need to have is you need to have a will. You need to have a living trust. You need to have some kind of survivorship, joint ownership on a deed. Definitely talk to a lawyer. Don't just go out there and find some form online. I mean, it can really do more damage than anything. It's not going to take very much time. You can give my office a call. It's 615-257-0565, and somebody on my team is going to be able to help you. Now, guys, on this last segment, we're going to talk about what is socialism? What is fascism? What's the difference? Because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. It has been making me crazy. I keep hearing, socialism and fascism get thrown around. Number one is if they're just interchangeable synonyms for opinions that I don't approve of. They are not. They describe very specific and very different things, okay? Here's the difference. I mean, I'm going to put it to you guys, like the reason why we're going to talk about it on the show and it's so important to me is because I've heard it thrown around a little bit about how certain voting laws are similar to, quote, Jim Crow laws. Oh, it's like Jim Crow South. That to me is so disrespectful. I cannot stand that. The people who actually lived through Jim Crow and who actually participated in the sit-ins, Nashville is a very famous city for the civil rights movement because sit-ins started here in Nashville. We should be very proud of our civil rights history here in the state. The John Siegenthaler Bridge, John Siegenthaler was a huge advocate here in Nashville for civil rights and made huge strides in that area. So for us to talk about people living under Jim Crow in today's world We're talking about like there were 13-year-old children sitting at the Woolworths counter, the lunch counter, and getting milkshakes and burgers and French fries thrown on them, spat in their face. They had dogs attacking them, water hoses, like fire hoses sprayed on them, just because they wanted to have equal rights and be able to sit where they wanted to sit on a bus. Anybody in America today who wants to compare anything that's going on to Jim Crow in the South, no, y'all got something else coming. You should really reconsider before you throw that kind of disrespect at people who are still living today who went through that. The people who fought for those rights are heroes, and many of them were teenagers. And they should not be disrespected by just saying that, oh, I don't like the way that a voting law is in today's world, and so I'm going to call it Jim Crow. No. We're not going to do that. It's a similar idea here with fascism and with socialism, because fascism and socialism, we talked about it. Millions of people died under those systems, and we're not anywhere near that here in the United States. So let's just slow our roll a little bit. Basically, socialism is a theory of an economic organization. It's a claim about who owns what, with class warfare as its main idea. It's all about class warfare. Go and read socialist writings, and you will see that class warfare is at the center of it. So listen to Bernie Sanders talking about millionaires and billionaires and tell me if he's not advocating for class warfare. It's disgusting. But fascism is a whole different thing. That is not about economic organization. Fascism is about a political organization. It is a dictatorial power under one single party or one person. It is a militant nationalism. It is a violent suppression of dissent. Violent. It is the fusion of the state and private industry under one central political direction. Now, here's a distinction that really matters, because under socialism, the state owns the economy, and they do it in the name of the collective, in the name of the workers. But under fascism, the state directs the economy. Now, they're going to leave the ownership of property in the hands of private companies and individuals, but it all has to be done in the name of the nation or in the name of the leader. So when we hear people say, oh, Republicans are fascist, no, because they're not doing everything in the name of the nation or in the name of the leader. That's not what we're doing. Mussolini is a great example of a fascist. He did not nationalize most of the Italian industry, but basically, if you didn't agree with what Mussolini was going to do, then you and your companies were going to be destroyed. That is basically the technical name of that system is called corporatism. It is not, quote, big companies have too much influence. We should go around shooting CEOs of healthcare companies. No. That's not the same thing. And we have to really be very careful when we're using these terms, because we got to remember that fascism in Germany killed 6 million Jews. And socialism in various countries has killed roughly 80 to 100 million people. I mean, both of these systems are extremely hostile to the individual. There is no free speech. There is no private property rights. There's no free press. Everybody is completely subordinate to the government. What we have in the United States is the opposite. The government is subordinate to the people. The people are not subordinate to the government. The people own private property. Everything is not owned or directed by the government. So we're not going to call America fascist or socialist, because it's neither. And when you use that kind of language, you're being lazy, and it's an insult to the people who actually lived and died under those regimes. It's a constitutional republic, and it has a market economy under the rule of law. Founding document was written in a way that it actually prevents both fascism and socialism. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Just love this country so much. Love the private ownership rights that we have here in the United States. We are so blessed and we are so free, you guys. And I want you to take advantage of your rights to own property, and give me a call. Let's get started on the process. And guys, have a wonderful rest of your week. I will see you here next time. I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.